Gee, the film hasn't even started and we've already got our obligatory toy-friendly mascot on the logo bit, before we've even met them proper. It is a neat one though. Helps that the minion isn't screeching. The yellow rope around the pyramid can't be seen here, and neither can the guards. We see the wood supports, so there's no real excuse. I never noticed the latter guard panting and out of breath to the side. Illumination's animation is so cost-conscious, it's a miracle to get any animation not fundamental to what's going on screen. What about the kid bouncing off the fake inflatable causes it to deflate? Size-wise, that'd be like bouncing a coin off of a balloon from a foot away. The dust obscures it somewhat, but where do the tourists go?
Which of the world's villains is responsible for this heinous crime? And where will he strike next?
Where will he strike next? Some might say that's sexist. I really do like Gru. His petty meanness is quirky cartooning we don't get much of these days. Every so often, Illumination is influenced in inspiring ways, and there's enough to go around in their debut here. I like how Gru goes out of his ways to freeze those that aren't queuing, couple that with the joy with which Steve Carell plays the character. We're used to characters in modern animation that are needlessly voiced by celebrities, but Danny McBride's character here exists just for the poster plug, with no narrative or comedic value. I don't even know, folks. Though he drank the coffee, the pastry Gru had goes away when talking to Fred. The pastry reappears inside later. Gru left the television on while he was out, on a talk show, no less. Obligatory early appearance of important characters telling us they're important is obligatory. They focus on the pastry as though it moved or was eaten, but the bag's in the same position, still intact. Is this a French thing I'm not getting? Doubt it, given how Americanized the film is. There may not be much to Nefario's character, but at least Russell Brand, like Carol, commits to having fun putting on a voice without forgetting about the acting of voice acting. Fits the wacky design too. But that rhino chair was facing the other way. I like how he gets into his villain attire in the tube, out of our sight, a very hero and or villain thing to do. Our introduction to the minions proper is a minute-long shot of them being called to action. It works over the alternative of lots of ping-pong quick-as-lightning visual gags, certainly.
Looking good, Kevin! How's the family?
How's the family, he says, when the minions are all one family, going by this film's continuity anyway.
Now I realize that you guys have probably heard about this other villain who stole the pyramids.
Except they clearly haven't. It's natural for anime characters to not realize idiot comic relief is idiot comic relief, but come on now. Jumbotrons use stationary lights, thus the visual damage shouldn't be moving with the letters. The alternative is that Gru, Nefario, or the minions have weird ways of fixing electronics. Filmmakers, pulling something out of Hammerspace means from behind a character, an obstruction, or off screen. It doesn't mean pulling something out of thin air for us to see.
We are going to steal...
That would be the crime of the century. There's nowhere to go but down from there, so better hope you don't have a sequel. Oh wait.
Hey, chillax.
Normally, we see screenwriters trying badly to give young characters hip things to say. Here, they got it right, but gave it to a character too old to ever say something like chillax. Here we have the Dolores Umbridge effect, where a horrible female character is made even more horrible by being in pink. Except where it is another celebrity cash-in, Kristen Wiig is a talented actress. She deserves better than this. I really like this bit of Gru's. Treasure those moments while they last. Although, if he's going to do that, why not do it directly in front of the bank? He clearly doesn't care about parking rules. One of the neat parts of seeing films I haven't seen since I became an adult is the clever adult in-jokes. If you get this one, it's a winner. The design of the support beams crushing the man is different and much shorter when Gru enters at first. Search me why Gru's so unnerved by them, given he frequents the bank. Any film with a villain as its protagonist can have trouble having the actual antagonist make an impression. Vector does, but not in a good way. He's just annoying.
With both direction and magnitude. Oh yeah!
You have no idea how hard it is to resist going for the easy joke here. It's pretty hard.
I'm applying for a new villain loan.
Mr. Gru? Mr. Perkins will see you now.
Since Vector was here first, how come Gru's been let ahead in the queue? Funny painting that. For what it's worth, I have always admired the production design of this franchise. It matches the characters and the tone of the piece, aside from being lovely in unrealistic ways. This scene makes me glad North Korea doesn't actually have a shrink ray. Just saying. The minion just stands there and lets him take it. Something that's neat is how Vector's tech is sleek and modern, while Gru's has an older, industrial feel. Nice way of showing the difference. Nothing's stopping you from firing the bullets again. Just saying. Why is Gru trying to shoot down Vector? That'd run the risk of destroying the shrink ray, no? Why are there 3 girls, given 1 or 2 at most is what's needed? It's the Powerpuff Girls effect, where each one accentuates certain personality traits and together they form a complete character. Edith is the rebellious brash middle child, Agnes is the young innocence, and Margot is the responsible leader. In theory, this allows for internal conflict to play out as external conflict between the 3, so that's something. The V tells us clear as day it's Vector's fortress. Come on now. Illumination's ads have always bombarded us, so it's nice to have enough time pass to be able to actually appreciate the better slapstick they spoiled. What's funny is that if you check the dates, Gru was born in 1960, so the Minions made it look like he was knighted at age 2 and given a Nobel Prize 9 years before he was born. Good stuff.
You have a face como un burro.
Unlike most hidden behind the language jokes, this one remains funny even if you know what he said, which was comparing her face to that of a donkey. So did Gru change out of his dentist attire? They just left.
Ah! Curse you, tiny toilet!
It's the pressurized pipe that's spraying you, Vector, not the toilet.
When we got adopted by a bald guy, I thought this would be more like Annie.
Brilliant musical, don't get me wrong, but no 9-year-old American tomboy in an orphanage would have seen it. Kyle doesn't get enough playful gags, considering the marketing doesn't shove him down our throats. His fear of Agnes is great. Gru's laid down the law so hard, it's affecting the space-time continuum, folks.
Does this count as annoying?
Nope, it counts as trailer-ready gag. Ha, I kid, it's pretty cute. I just noticed that Margot's t-shirt has the Lorax on it. Normally I'm all for these Pixar-esque Easter eggs, but for reminding me of a lovely-looking yet pretty awful film... Well, at least he's getting his groove on... No, I can't do this. How is Carl inside waiting to pounce? He just scurried past.
I said dart gun, not... Okay.
I'll say this much. The film restrained from lame fart jokes for over a half hour. I'll give it a pass on that. For some reason, the rendering and shading looks really off on the Minions in this shot, even compared to the very next one. Guess Nefaria must have applied the anti-gravity serum to the soda in his spare time, because it doesn't come back down bar the first few stray bits. Might as well discuss the Minions now. They're basically unnecessary, either narratively or for the audience. They're comic relief in a film that's already wacky and light enough for kids with short attention spans. But they actually work here as a seasoning of silliness on the side. Because the filmmakers keep their ambitions low-key, the Minions, as a great note in a modest comedy, aren't overbearing the way they've been since. That leads me into why the Minions became popular. Most of this film's other modes can become too much when it gets in too deep, from the conflict turning frantic to the sentiment turning sappy. The Minions are a reprieve from that. They're dog toys, and we're the dogs. And when they're not overused, that's why we like them, because someone has given us a yellow rubber toy that makes a noise!
Just so you know, you're never gonna be my dad.
I think I can live with that.
Gru's crotchety dismissal of the sisters is still really charming. I like all the side evidence of the room once being Gru's study that he carelessly converted, especially with in-universe lore and that sort of thing. Little picture book swaps its covers around. Guess it's sick of being reread.
Ya, para tú. Papoy.
It's beautiful.
Aww. Took a while, but you folks know me. I'm not made of stone. Whatever animator was handed this shot clearly got inter-siblings relationships, so props to that monsieur or madame. Unless it was the director's idea. Still props in that case.
We're supposed to start with the A's, then we go to the B's, then we...
Actually, it'd make more sense to deliver in an order that minimalizes the distance, no? I never sold Girl Scout cookies myself, funnily enough, but it makes sense to me.
That'll be $52.
Nope. The clipboard said $6 per box when they were taking orders earlier, and then the sums on it were added up correctly. Vector had 23 boxes altogether, so they've given him a $6 discount? Well, taking a loss to build customer loyalty is a strategy for sure. Small thing, but I love how Edith is so bored through all the cookie selling. Predictably, the script develops the middle child the least, but she gets lots of side moments behind the main action. Helps that they build character. The geography of Vector's fortress makes no sense. The small drop to the wall here makes it seem like the vault is at ground level, but the vent off from it comes out above Vector's living room, which is the top of the shark tank that's beside the atrium of the entrance. Briefly, the vault jumps from the ground floor to the second floor.
Super Silly Funland!
Funland, you say? Does it have a spider baby? Doesn't get a pass from me with that one. I was going to point out the safety hazard that is a roller coaster on a pier, but turns out it's based on an actual Santa Monica park, pier and all, down to attractions only kids could like. So that's positive karma instead. I'm going to admit something shameful. I like the Pharrell Williams originals. They're like the film, light in substance, but light, jolly, and warm. My biggest problem with 3D nowadays come from moments that not only are built from it, but whose absence later is painfully obvious. Sorry, roller coaster segment, you tried. That roller coaster was so intense, it derailed the safety bar, folks. I'll overlook the celebrity casting for this guy. I will not, however, overlook how they made Jack McRae unlikable, to put it mildly. I love how the unicorn was the only thing to survive the explosion. Call it karma for Jerk McBrayer, if you will. I introduced to you all the near impossibility of trying to do work, much less conference calls, from home when little kids abound. It's another small thing the film does well, mixing the cartoony with the relatable. It's a small thing, but Perkins' sitting posture doesn't match with his standing posture on the other side of the screen. Only Edith is in the shot here, yet Margot definitely should be as well, given they're nearly level here. I love how Gru's mom goes out of her way to grunt indifferently directly to Gru, rather than to the side as with the previous occasions.
Can't you see that I'm in the middle of a pep talk?
Note how strange Gru sounds in explaining himself to the girls. Even some professional voice actors can struggle when letting emotion come through a cartoon voice, so for Carell to do that is something else. Aww. While I do maintain the film's quality drops as it loses its edge, it still has plenty of charm. That snapshot clearly never happened at any point. Apart from anything else, Agnes was never on screen. On that note, apparently it's taken all the time Gru and Co have been building the rocket, close to 10 days if you follow the internal calendar, for Perkins to meet with Vector and show him the evidence.
Do you have any idea how lucrative this moon heist could be?
Furthermore, and I know I'm pushing my luck here, this means Perkins and Vector have been singing on the moon heist rather than doing anything with it. I dig the little eye roll the squid does. You can tell Vector's aquatic specimens are tired of having to put up with him.
Time, right now. I'm not kidding around.
As lip sync mismatches go, it's a small one, but Agnes is still heard laughing for a moment even though she isn't. How did Gru turn the book without taking out his fingers? Don't get me wrong, handy skill, but still.
This is literature? A 2-year-old could have written this.
I kid, that's one of the flick's funniest lines.
Your mommy loves you with all her heart.
Double-edged sword here. On the one hand, solid line reading and well done facial animation. But it's another case of especially poor rendering, alongside the anti-realism vinyl style of the characters not suited for carrying a moment like this.
You and I have been working on this for years.
For years? Then why did it take so long to pitch it to the bank? It's the only lazy, toilet humorous funny gag I found, and it's neat it's merged with important info delivered visually, but come on now. Here we go. Obligatory sad breakup prior to the third act. Expected, but it only serves to strip the characters of some depth. No parent would give up their adopted kids, even if their scientist had arranged it for them. Small subtle touch, how angry Miss Hattie is at the girls for being sent back. You can see it in her slamming the door and putting them in the box of shame. And the film was doing so well not relying on obvious pop culture references. There's no reason to show Vector trying and failing to hijack Gru. In fact, it'd be even better to just have him show up to kidnap the girls. That plan would seem more sinister were it his first plan. I really dig the orchestral and choral all on approaching the moon. I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. From what are the Minions and Nefario getting this moving camera view from? I'm going to forego that Gru let go of the shrink ray, potentially losing it, because the moment where the ticket descends into his view is genuinely beautiful filmmaking. Though his watch did jump forward 2 minutes and 24 seconds.
We have to warn him, and fast!
Another common trailer gag that works again once you have distance from the film's initial release. They let Edith keep her pink hat. Wouldn't happen. I like the gag of Edith always wearing a hat, but they could have switched it with a white one for this. That'd fit the theme and be funny while keeping the joke up. Skinny rockets lack brakes. No two ways about it, buddy. They actually dodged the whole making it for the last minute cliche. Yeah, it ends up leading to a meh finale, but still, bravo. Okay, this crowning moment of awesome is pretty awesome. How did Gru end up climbing the pyramid when he was inside the wall and the pyramid is outside? On that note, the spaceship goes from the top back to the pyramid's middle in the time it took Gru to scale half the pyramid. It kind of ruins the tension to show Nefario closing in before Gru falls. It'd be better to first see the ship when it catches him. We saw it enlarge, kids can connect the dots, especially with his explanation afterwards.
The larger the mass of an object, the quicker the effects of the shrink ray wear off!
And yet both the ship and the Minion were shrunk for near identical periods of time. And let me stop you there. A Minion's mass isn't huge if Gru can carry one effortlessly. Nice that the Minions save him, but no way they could descend notably faster than Gru to catch up and grab him. Of course it hits the button to go up. Everything has to wrap up all hunky-dory.
Oh, poop.
The literal height of wit from a man-child, folks. Not like the adult equivalent is much better, mind. Margot sleeps with her glasses under her pillow. That's totally not safe. A younger sibling of mine wears glasses and never does that.
From those 3 little kittens, that changed his heart.
Aww. By and large, the movie gets parenthood right, and even the girls are more like actual children than the norm. The film had a nice sweet ending going, and then we go into dance party ending mode. I doubt the girls, Agnes especially, would know how to dance to a pop song like that. Agnes's white tights vanished on the platform. You don't suppose that— No, I'm not making that joke! Obvious 3D gag is, well, you get the picture. The moments where the film indulges in them would be fine if it wasn't otherwise better than that. This film basically ended up being the first Ice Age for me again, by which I mean, subpar sequels, spin-offs, and franchise saturation have diluted the brand, but the original remains a reasonably good, enjoyable flick. Gru's heart grew 3 sizes here, and mine enlarged a bit too. -32. Bye-bye. Back in bye-bye. No. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.